Good people, what's up? Listen, I am excited to be back with you. And if you are tapping into this channel, you know we explore the truth, the principle, and the idea that we are created worthy. Created worthy simply means we're no longer performing for what we were created with. So, we want to take another step into this series we're calling Backed by Bible. Simply meaning, I'm not going to say my opinion. I'm not going to wrestle with your opinion. We're going to go in the Bible and let it help us navigate to this truth. All right. So, this truth we want to navigate today is naked and unashamed. And if we go back into the first three chapters of Genesis 1, 2, and 3, we're going to see that when God created mankind, woman, and man in his likeness and image, it says that he saw it was very good, and they were naked and unashamed. So what does it mean to be naked and unashamed? That means you're vulnerable, and in your vulnerability, you're free. And the reason you're free is because you're safe. That means there's a level of innocence to you that feels safe to be able to explore, to not hide behind things that people tell you need to do. It kind of, in this example, when I think about it, I think about my niece. I have my youngest niece is 8 years old. Beautiful soul. She's actually born on my birthday, but that's another benefit. But at 8 years old, she calls me and we talk, and it's the excitement of being able to see snow. It's the excitement of being able to go to the beach. It's the excitement of just being able to have a conversation to ask, how are you doing? And how is she able to be so free and be able to be so vulnerable? It's because she's surrounded in an environment with loved ones and people who see the purity of who she is and allows for it to be protected by them and their wisdom. Naked and unashamed. But there's somewhere in most of us that there's some place in our story where we went from naked and unashamed to naked and hid. Now watch. Before we get to naked and hid, when they were naked and unashamed, guess what they were doing? They were doing the work they were created for and designed for. How do I know? Is that when they were naked and unashamed, God brought all the animals, every living creature to Adam, and he began to name them. He had dominion. He began to name them, and God accepted the name that Adam gave them. So Adam didn't have to perform for what he was already created with. He was designed for the purpose to have dominion, to name everything that's on the planet. But then in Genesis 3, we see that there was a creeping of some distorted truth, i.e. a lie via the serpent, in which he told Eve that if you eat from this tree that you will be like God. Do you see that? He told her she was going to be something that she already was. Genesis 1 says she was created in his likeness and image. She was an image bearer and living idol of God. So how are you going to give me something or tell me I can get something that I already have? You see that? So in Genesis 3, which we call the fall, many of us can look at our own lives and see the parallel that somewhere in our origin story, the lie creeped in that we went from being naked and unashamed to now being naked and hid. And the issue, what happens when we begin to hide, when we don't feel vulnerable, when we feel like we need to cover up and hide our vulnerabilities and we no longer feel safe, we do what Adam and Eve did. We take fig leaves or temporary things to hide something that was only meant for divine provision. How do I know it was a divine provision? Because when God said, who told you that you were naked? And he saw that they were in fig leaves, he gave them animal skins. That's a divine provision for their need versus hiding using fig leaves that are only going to be temporary. Here's what I want us to get. Here's what I want us to see is that we have picked up a lie someplace in a very intimate space, in a very spot in which it was somebody closest to us, that I'm asking for you to go do the work or the forensic work of your own eating and go figure out where that lie showed up. Because there's a point that you were naked and unashamed, and then you started being naked and hiding. And you're going, Aaron, I don't even know where I might be hiding. All I want you to do is this. Just click the link in the description. Go to myhidingpattern.com. Take a 3-minute assessment and find out what pattern you might be hiding behind that told you that you were naked and now you were shamed and you had to hide. And everything that you might call your personality, everything that you might call your culture, everything that you might resolve to that's just the way that I am, could be the very thing that's exhausting you, could be the very thing that's keeping you from being everything that God created you to be. So that's what it simply is. I just want you to ask yourself the question, when was the first time you remember being naked and unashamed? And when was the first time you remember being naked and you hid? And I want us to find ways to wherever that lie came, let's pull up the lie and let's connect back to God's truth, which is He created us who are very good. And when we lived in that truth, we were naked and unashamed doing His work. And that's what we need to get back to because we are created worthy and we no longer perform for what we were created with. I'll see you in the next one.